Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I never expected my birthday to become the moment everything finally surfaced. I'm Marcus, 39, and I've learned that silence can be louder than shouting when it's been building for years. Evelyn and I had been together long enough to know each other's routines, habits, and weak spots. Birthdays were usually simple. Dinner, a small cake, quiet laughter. I didn't need much. I just wanted peace. That morning started wrong. Evelyn was already irritated, snapping over small things, like the way I left my keys on the counter or forgot to replace the trash bag. I brushed it off. Everyone has off days. I reminded myself not to take it personally. Not today. I went to work, answered messages, smiled when people wished me happy birthday, pretending I didn't feel that tight knot in my chest. When I got home, the house felt heavy. No music. No smell of food. Evelyn was in the kitchen, arms crossed, jaw tight. I tried to keep things light. I said something harmless about maybe ordering takeout. That's when she exploded. She accused me of being lazy, ungrateful, always expecting her to do everything. Her voice rose, sharp and fast, like she'd been rehearsing this argument all day. I stood there stunned, realizing this wasn't really about dinner. It was about everything we hadn't said. She yelled about money, about stress, about how she felt invisible. The words hit hard, especially because it was my birthday, and she knew it. I didn't interrupt. I didn't defend myself. I just listened, feeling something inside me slowly pull away. At one point she said, "You always look so disappointed, like I'm never enough." That hurt more than the yelling. I wanted to argue, to explain, but instead I felt tired. Tired of fixing, tired of absorbing blame, tired of pretending things were fine. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I think she finally saw my face. My shoulders were slumped. My eyes were tired. There was no anger there, just resignation. Her voice faltered. The yelling stopped mid-sentence. The room went quiet in a way that felt almost sacred. She stared at me, breathing hard, then softer. Finally, she said, quietly, "I didn't mean it. I love you." That sentence landed strangely. It didn't fix anything. It didn't erase what had been said. It just hung there between us. I nodded, not because I fully believed it, but because I didn't know what else to do. Love, I was learning, wasn't just about saying the words when things went too far. We sat down on opposite ends of the couch, not touching. I thought about how many times I'd swallowed my feelings to keep the peace. How many birthdays, anniversaries, ordinary Tuesdays I'd chosen silence over conflict. If this part of the story feels familiar to you, take a second to like and share this video so it reaches others who might feel the same quiet weight. Evelyn started talking again, calmer now, explaining how overwhelmed she felt, how she didn't recognize herself anymore. I listened, but something had shifted. I wasn't just hearing her words. I was hearing everything she hadn't said before. I realized that love without kindness slowly turns into obligation. I told her, carefully, that yelling at me on my birthday wasn't just a bad moment. It was a signal, a sign that we were both hurting and pretending we weren't. She looked down, tears forming, and whispered that she didn't know how to fix us. At this point, I want to hear from you. In the comments, type the word heard if you believe feeling understood matters more than winning an argument. That realization stayed with me, echoing after lights went out. The night ended without cake, without candles, without celebration. Just two people sitting in the aftermath of honesty. I went to bed wondering if love could survive resentment, or if this was the beginning of a deeper conversation we'd been avoiding for years. I didn't have answers yet, only a heavy heart and the uneasy feeling that my birthday wasn't the worst part. The worst part was realizing how long we'd both been quiet. I woke the next morning before Evelyn, the quiet in the house feeling different. Not peaceful exactly, but charged with possibility. I made coffee, sat by the window, and thought about how yesterday unfolded. The yelling, the silence, her words, "I didn't mean it. I love you," echoed in my mind. I realized love is rarely simple. It's messy, tangled with pride, fear, and exhaustion. When Evelyn came into the kitchen, she seemed smaller somehow. No sharp words this time, just hesitation. She asked if I wanted breakfast. I nodded, keeping my tone neutral, measured. I knew any sudden jump into anger or blame would undo what little fragile honesty we'd managed to expose. We sat down together, plates between us, not touching. Yet the space felt alive with unspoken possibility. She tried to explain herself, about her stress at work, her fatigue, her feelings of invisibility. It was familiar territory, but now it was framed differently. Before, it had felt like attack. Now it sounded like confession. There was shame in her voice, a vulnerability I hadn't heard before. I responded with calm, careful words, acknowledging her feelings but making it clear that my emotions mattered too. That clarity shifted something. In the afternoon, we walked around the neighborhood, speaking softly, letting each word land before responding. I shared how hurt I felt, not with anger, but with honesty. Evelyn listened, really listened. For the first time in months, our conversation felt like connection rather than confrontation. There was no instant resolution, no magical reset, but there was a recognition that we were both accountable for the distance that had grown between us. If you've ever had a conversation that felt like it could change everything, take a moment to comment below describing the last time you felt truly heard. Your story could inspire someone else. By evening, I realized that birthdays aren't about celebration, at least not always. Sometimes they are mirrors, reflecting the truths we try to ignore. Evelyn and I made no promises about the future, no vows to instantly fix everything. But we shared acknowledgement, recognition, and a small commitment to try. That alone felt monumental. Later that night, we sat on the couch again. She reached over tentatively and held my hand, a quiet apology in the gesture. No words, just presence. It reminded me that love exists in small moments, in recognition, in the effort to be seen. That hand in mine was a promise, not perfect, not complete, but real. I squeezed back gently, letting the tension of the past dissolve little by little. In the days that followed, the pattern of old habits tried to creep in. Small frustrations, miscommunications, unspoken resentments. But now, when I noticed them, I spoke. Evelyn responded. Sometimes poorly, sometimes beautifully, but always with intention. The yelling had been loud and destructive. This was quiet and constructive. I realized that the loud moments aren't what define relationships. It's the quiet work afterward that shapes them. Now I want to ask you, based on this story, do you think couples should confront issues immediately or let emotions settle first? Comment your thoughts. There's no right answer, but your perspective matters. 1 week later, I reflected on how fragile and resilient love can be. Evelyn and I had no dramatic breakthroughs, no cinematic reconciliations, just small acknowledgments, apologies, and consistent effort. I learned that sometimes love isn't about fireworks or grand gestures. It's about noticing, listening, and showing up, even when it's uncomfortable. She approached me that evening with a small, slightly crooked smile and whispered, "I'm sorry for yesterday. I love you." Her words, though simple, carried weight. They were backed by awareness and intention. I held her gaze, nodding silently, recognizing that forgiveness isn't instant. It's a process built one conscious moment at a time. If this story resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear that love requires patience, understanding, and courage. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that explore the complexity of human relationships. That night, as I went to bed, I realized that birthdays might not always feel like celebration, but they can be moments of reflection, clarity, and growth. Evelyn and I still had work ahead. There would be arguments, misunderstandings, and frustrations. But there was also connection, awareness, and renewed intention. That, I thought as I closed my eyes, was enough for now. I finally understood something crucial. Love isn't about never failing or never yelling. It's about showing up, even after mistakes, even after hurt, and choosing to try again. And sometimes, the quiet words spoken after the storm, "I didn't mean it, I love you," are the ones that matter most.